Hi, this is Mark from Altcoin Buzz, and today we're going to look at a few coins. We're going to look at XRP, we're going to look at Litecoin, and we'll also take a look at Bitcoin real quick. On a short-term and a medium-term outlook, and just because you're watching, I'm also going to throw in a bonus coin at the very end that we're going to be keeping our eye on. So let's get started. Okay, let's take a look at XRP right now. We're on the XRP USD one-day chart, and we will take a look at XRP against Bitcoin. But for right now, we're going to look at the price point on XRP on the USD chart. We've got this ascending wedge starting to form, and an ascending wedge is a continuation of the prior pattern. You can see the prior pattern was a bearish pattern. We've been making lower highs since October here on XRP, which is not a good sign. We have had some higher lows coming, but again, in that ascending wedge. Right now, the point of control on the VPVR is at 32 cents, and that's where we're finding that resistance right now, is at that point of control. You've got quite a bit of resistance on XRP between 33 cents and 38 cents. A break below this lower ascending trend line would most likely take us to a target of somewhere between 29 cents. Back here where we found prior support, and back here where we found prior support. The momentum indicators are trying to turn over, but there's just not enough volume to move them past this resistance and into a positive mode. If we look at XRP on the 3-day chart against Bitcoin, we can see that the 7-day moving average, exponential moving average against Bitcoin has been resistance for XRP, and it continues to be resistance. So on the price point, we've got that point of control acting as resistance. We've got a 7-period moving average on the 3-day acting as resistance on the Bitcoin chart. 32 cents we really need to get above. That's where XRP needs to settle in for this to be a momentum change, which we could have, because against Bitcoin, we're finding that we're trying to find support in this area. Then we could get another upward move. If we look at XRP on the 1-week chart, I'm going to give you the old_crypto. That's my Twitter handle, and I do analysis sometimes and send it out on a tweet when I don't have time to do a full video. So you can subscribe to me there at old_crypto and get those updates when I'm not able to do the full video. So as we look at this, we've got the moving average on the weekly chart trying to find support at that 30 EMA. This is against Bitcoin. We've got a bullish cross on the 30 and the 50. So that's a good sign that we could find a potential reversal coming, even though we're not seeing it on the USD charts right now. But remember, we do have some strong resistance on those charts. And if we get a break below 30 cents, then we're going to be looking to try and find support somewhere around 28 cents. I think both on the short term and the long term of XRP, we're going to see some continued correction here. And that continued correction, we're going to want to try and find support on that 30 EMA, or at minimum on the 50, this orange EMA. If we can't find support there, then we'd be looking at a potential 16% correction with a break of those moving averages. Okay, so let's take a look at the shining star right now, Litecoin. This is on the USD one-day chart, the Coinbase chart. And you can see that we've had this nice run up here with some higher lows being set along with some higher highs. And we are now consolidating, trying to find support at what was a resistance area for us. So we are looking to find support right now. Litecoin is trying to find that around the $55 area. But support in this green box would be reasonable. The momentum indicators need to reset just a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a retracement back, but as long as it stays within this green box, we're good. And a bounce back up to try and test some of these previous swing highs back in here. The great thing about this is if Litecoin can break above this previous high at around $63, somewhere in that $62 to $63 area, it's pretty clear sailing up in here. If Litecoin can maintain its momentum to break through all of this area up into the $82 range and then even above that, where the target is going to come from what I'm thinking is a developing cup and handle. Let's just take a look at the 3-day chart. And you can see we've got this resistance box set in here. This red area, this zone, is a bit of resistance for Litecoin to get through. So we'll most likely have to gather some steam before trying to break through that area. But if we look at this, what we're seeing, and we'll see it more on the weekly, but we're seeing what looks to be a cup and handle forming. If we just come back in here and potential to retest this kind of swing high area that we talked about and then retrace to then make a run back up and break through that resistance is how that cup and handle would perform. If we break below the $40 price point, we'd be failing to make a new higher low. So that would invalidate this cup and handle. But if we do break that cup and handle up to the upside and that performs, we have a very good target that we can go from. And let's just look at it real quick. The theoretical would be when we break to the upside, we would make the equal move. That's about 163% on a measured move. If we were just to be conservative and go 100% and the breakout was from this point around $63, 100% up from there would put us roughly up into a high volume node at around $100, $120, somewhere in that area. And that wouldn't be too unreasonable. If we break out of this high node at about 61 and we come back up through, that'll take us to some resistance somewhere in the $76 range. Between 76 and 82, break through that. That would be easier to do than what we just did recently. And then find resistance hitting us at about $118, somewhere in that area. So a big move could be coming for Litecoin if it can continue on the trend that it's going. Let's take a look at the weekly and also just do a quick Twitter cheat sheet. So as we look at this right now on the 3-day chart, we're above the point of control on Litecoin. There's still strong momentum, but there's also some strong resistance up and coming. It's that red box that you can see right there above where we're at right now on this weekly chart. There's support on multiple EMAs in multiple time frames, which is real nice. We've got some crosses as well. You can see the bull cross coming right here on the 7-day versus the 30-day. We have that cup and handle forming, potentially retrace back down to our shorter EMA, break back out above this resistance area and continue on up. That would be a very nice play for the bulls. A break below 40 is going to take us back on a continuation pattern. But all things considered right now, I am pretty bullish, both short-term and medium-term for Litecoin. Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin very quickly. Not much has changed for me on the Bitcoin chart. We're currently sitting on the Bitcoin USD 1-day chart. Potentially a head and shoulders that is forming here on the 1-day chart, although it is a very weak head and shoulders in my mind. And if we get rejected at this upper resistance area that we have set right around the $4,000 price point, heading back down to the high 3,000 price point or even potentially below would not be out of the question. I'm feeling like this is more of an ascending wedge versus an ascending triangle that some are looking at and saying, well, that is potentially a positive sign that we could break out above this triangle and find support of the $4,000. There's a ton of resistance in that area, though, outlined by that red box. So we have to look at some of the higher time frames to see what might be going on. If we look at the Bitcoin 3-day chart, that resistance area again in the red box, that's what we need to break through for this small upturn to continue. A rejection from here is just making this a nice little bear flag, and we'll just continue down. Right now, we're getting minimal results against a lot of effort. I mean, our volume is down, the momentum is up, the price point is not fluctuating as much as it should compared to the effort. So that resistance that we've got around the 4325, 4,000 area, that's going to be very, very tough to break through. But if we do, if Bitcoin can get through that resistance area, that is a very strong sign that we might be getting on a reversal here for Bitcoin. Here's the cheat sheet on Bitcoin. We still have lots of resistance between that 4,050 and that 4325. And I know that's a kind of a large gap for you, but that's where our sweet spot of resistance lies that we have to get through. There's minimal results against a lot of effort here, and that's worrying me about trying to break through that upper resistance area. We've got to close above that 21 period, that 21 weekly moving average for me to start feeling more comfortable with the fact that we are starting to move in the right direction for a reversal. That would be somewhere around the $4,000 area. At least a couple closes above that, I'd start getting more encouraged. Those lower time frames just don't show that we have enough strength behind the moves to break through this resistance. I'm going to be very cautious at this point on Bitcoin. On my medium-term outlook, I would not be surprised if we get rejected from that resistance to get down into the low 3,000s. Now, I've got a coin that I'm going to be keeping my eye on that's had a nice gain here in the last day or so. So let's take a look at that and we'll wrap things up. Okay, so here's the secret coin, the bonus coin, the mystery coin, whatever you want to call it. We're looking at Stellar Lumen right now, XLM on the USD one-day chart. You can see that Stellar Lumen had a nice jump up, a nice about 12% move up on this tick back here. And it's been creating new higher lows, and it just created a new higher high. Sitting at about 10 cents right now. That is also a pretty significant resistance area for XLM. You can see in here, this whole area has a bunch of noise in it, and that's going to create a ton of resistance. And that whole range ends up being between about that 10-cent area and 13 to 14 cents. The one thing that concerns me is if we go to the 3-day chart and we start compressing down that price action just a little bit, it looks more like an ascending wedge at this point in time, which would mean just a continuation down from the prior trend, much like what we had kind of back in here. We're going to nice rounding bottom here in the price action. That's very healthy if we can continue to come up and even test this 11-cent area, maybe a small retracement down to come up and create a new higher high at around 15 cents, somewhere in there. So we're going to keep an eye on XLM over the next couple of weeks and just see how this might shake out and whether or not Stellar Lumens is going to get a nice little bull run. Well, that'll wrap it up for today. I hope this helped you out. Don't forget to follow us at altcoinbuzz.io, where you can find all kinds of great articles throughout the day. You can also get to all of our social media from there. Also, follow me on Twitter at crypto_old and follow those tweets that I might send out in between videos. Keeping track of those coins that you want to take a look at, and we'll get to those. I just needed to catch up on some of the larger coins this week. Until next time, may all your trades be good ones.